Penske Media owns a bunch of big sites such as Rolling Stone, Variety, Hollywood Reporter, Billboard. So, we've got about 20 or 25 really large sites. So I came here to really help to monetize through commerce across all the different sites.
At StackCommerce, I'm the VP of Sales and Services. So I oversee essentially all things revenue. And how to execute on that revenue.
Scott, can you please describe for us the main challenge you face as a mass media or editorial publisher in affiliate marketing?
Sure. So it's really trying to, introduce upper funnel awareness, engagement, and content in a last click world. So for example, when we do a media buy and a brand is used to working with last click, they might be expecting a 7-to-1 ROAS or an 8-to-1 ROAS. And so what we need to do is not only sell them and educate them on why content or upper funnel makes sense, but also why should they invest that dollar that they could earn 7 on, maybe to just earn $1 on.
They might not see the instant return like they would with, again, maybe a coupon and deal or loyalty or lower funnel activity. But over time, we can certainly show that there's a net gain to that organization if they consistently engage with publishers like Penske Properties, from like a content perspective.
Yeah, I think I just add on to that. It's we always have to educate the brands too. It's not in a vacuum, right? And I think you have to understand that the consumer's interacting with a lot of different things throughout the day. So it's really just, understanding how are you interacting? And Jim's right, where we often benefit from wow, I had a great article about my product on that site. Now, did that consumer buy instantly? Maybe or maybe not, but we do know that by them reading it, they might have gone to their local store. They might have actually clicked on a different affiliate link, but at the end of the day, that experience did help to ultimately influence that consumer to take the action the brand wanted. So how do we, properly get credit for that happening?
So for our listeners that are less familiar with affiliate or less familiar with attribution modeling in kind of upper funnel, what are those KPIs that they can track and look for and measure?
So I think it will vary by brand and by vertical, but a lot of the KPIs that we use would be things like page views of an article. I think more popular and more requested would be clicks from that article to the actual destination. In some cases, depending on the type of content, if page views aren't necessarily an option, which they usually are, we can also use impression trackers. If it's a single placement, which typically in content it isn't, or a longer form article, or if it's a piece of content that's part of an inclusion, we can measure through impressions based on where that inclusion is located on the page. And so those elements will ultimately be tied down again into downstream activity. From there, what we can do, especially if it's evergreen content, we can start optimizing over time the content and the landing pages and the elements on the page to try to improve those metrics and increase that downstream conversion.
Is there success between the two of you and within your partnership that you can talk our listeners through?
We had a bit of an uphill battle with a large consumer electronic retailer that really wanted to invest in the channel, in affiliate, but really wanted to engage that consumer that wasn't necessarily ready to buy. Again, talking about kind of feeding that lower funnel activity, but didn't quite have a way to sell internally. And so what we had done with Penske Media and Scott was kind of devised a long-term strategy over the course of the year, a number of different content plays and traffic drivers, which would be designed to get eyes onto that content that was developed, and set up a proper tracking methodology that would allow this team internally to measure the impact of that content even further down the funnel through attribution modeling and things of that nature. And at the end of the day, and without maybe giving too much of it away, we ended up taking a client that was very hesitant in investing even $5,000, $10,000 in a content play to become one of the largest spenders that I think to date we've ever seen, and continue to spend year after year after year in that upper funnel activity because they were able to see so much positive downstream results from it.
As an editorial publisher, how do you navigate those conversations with brands, particularly if they're coming to an affiliate from a very commercial mindset of like last click wins?
Yeah, no, and I actually had a really good example even partnering with Awin. This actually helped us with that electronics retailer a couple of years back where, we were looking at about a 1-to-1 ROAS and trying to secure the renewal. And honestly, once we started to look at that assist metrics and it ended up being, I think, north of like 20%, it really showcased that yes, if content's doing its job, it's educating, it's influencing, but ultimately there may be another party that converted that consumer. I think that's always been, a savvy consumer at this point knows to look for that deal, knows to look for that offer. So I think our big win is still gaining some credit and still being able to demonstrate to that brand, look at the whole ecosystem, what we were able to sort of influence above and beyond what that direct attribution was able to give us.
What is your one single best piece of advice you would give to a business looking to get started with affiliate marketing?
Don't go in with preconceived notions of what the affiliate channel is. Enter the affiliate world as if there's multiple channels kind of within. If you're open-minded, if you're willing to invest the time and money over time, you can use the affiliate channel to achieve goals that you just didn't think were possible.
Make sure as it relates to publishers, you know your audience and who you're talking to, right? Because what's, going to work for a content site could be very different than a deal site or very different than a loyalty site. And even within those, there's just different models. So I would say, do your homework and educate yourself on how does that site engage the consumer? Because ultimately, if you know that going into it, it'll save a lot of back and forth and you'll know, are they the right fit to be able to promote the brand? And it'll save a lot of that hassle.